All right, we have got Christina Gilkey here running for Clark County Council as a Democrat. And we'll just jump right in. Christina, just tell me what are your best qualifications for the position and what's your primary motivation for running this year?
Great questions. My so I am the only candidate out of the six who has experience as an elected official. I'm the only one. And my particular experience was on the Greater Clark County School Board, where we dealt with $110 million budget, which is basically what the council does. This is just all fiscal. But then we also kind of did what the commissioners do. Like, we were responsible for building projects and disciplinary issues and, a lot of those other things. So I have the experience with the budgeting and the fiscal responsibility. I have the elected official experience. I think that's what makes me more qualified than any of my opponents. The reason I decided to run is I just want us to get back to a place where our people, our community can start to have some faith and trust in elected officials again. I'd like to set the standard, do business the way I did business when I was on the school board. That you're supposed to behave a certain way. You're supposed to have integrity. You're supposed to be honest. You're supposed to be responsive. And I feel like if we can get back to that place, people might actually start to have some faith in public servants again.
And if you could summarize in a nutshell, what do you hope to accomplish during your term if you're elected?
One thing I would like to really focus on improving transparency with the council. That's been abysmal. And I mean, there's the evidence. We all know the evidence that shows been a big problem with transparency. So that's one really big thing. The other big thing is I would really love to see us as a council collaborate more with the commissioners. Like I've been doing homework and research, and like New Albany, Floyd County, their council meets with the commissioners once a month. They have a joint meeting. And why aren't we doing that? Like so many questions could be answered there. If both sides know what's happening and what the goals are and we could accomplish so much for Clark County. I'd love to get to a place where we're doing that.
Perfect. And along those same lines, how would you do things differently than those who currently serve on the council?
Well, one of the big things I would do differently is I would file a conflict of interest form. That way and I would file it on Indiana Gateway. So anybody who wants to know can see it. Anybody who has questions can see it. I also would make sure that my contact information on the website is up to date and accurate so that people can get a hold of me when they have a question or a problem or a concern. I was at a meeting maybe 2 months ago, and a woman stood up and said, I emailed every single one of you and not one of you emailed me back. I want to be better than that. I want to do better than that. So, those probably would be the two places where I would start.
And you would be one vote and one of seven members on the council. And you already discussed this a little bit, but would you be willing to commit to full transparency to your constituents? For example, will you support video recorded streamed meetings, including administrative meetings or any meeting outside of executive session, making all minutes, contracts, disbursements available on the county website, and ensure distribution of packets of documents that support upcoming topics to be voted on ahead of the meeting so that constituents can engage and participate in decisions?
Yes, to all of that. I'm not sure why we haven't been doing it. And I hate to keep referring back to my experience as a school board member, but Greater Clark's been live streaming since 2018. So there's no reason why we can't do that. And I would absolutely advocate for all of that.
Currently, public comments are constrained to 3 minutes each, and we're told that the council does not need to respond or answer questions, although some members volunteer to do so. Would you be in favor of increasing the 3 minute time limit depending on the situation and answering questions during public comment?
I would be in favor of increasing the 3 minutes. Again, like if there's a big something going on and we have 50 people in the room for the sake of like everyone's time, I think we need to have some limitations, maybe even like if 5 people are all going to say the same thing, like have those 5 come up at the same time as a group. Yes, I want to give people time to speak, and we also have to be considerate of everyone's time. That's kind of a fine balance. I always respond to questions and concerns. I may not have an answer. The response might be, thank you so much for getting up here and telling us how you're feeling or what your concern is. I'll need to get back to you because I don't have the answers to your question, or that's not actually a council question. I'm going to make sure the commissioners follow up with you, or whatever the circumstance might be. But people deserve to have a response. Like no response means I don't care and you just wasted your time. And that's not what a public official should be putting out a message of. The message should be, we care and you matter.
How are you going to ensure the public gets the opportunity to express their desires on a particular agenda item? How will you communicate with those you represent?
Social media, if it's a hot topic, like I will post it out and I'll say, how do you all feel about this? Call me, email me, let me know. Of course, the 3 minutes at the meetings. It's okay to table something if people, have concerns and questions and you're not 100% sure, like what's the best decision. You're never going to be able to appease everybody all the time. Like, not going to happen. Not going to happen. But every person should feel like you at least gave them your time and attention to express their concerns. So I put my phone number and my email out there. Social media, I'm happy to post things. Hey, how are you feeling about this? Let people, I'll take polls even. I'll do whatever I need to do so that people feel like they have a venue to come and talk and express any questions they have.
You've had some time to study the roles and responsibilities of this position. Have you familiarized yourself with past minutes, budgets, additional appropriations, expenditures, and policies for this position? And did you attend any of the budget sessions this summer?
Yes, I recognize that the role of a county council person is different than my experience. Similar, but different. I've been looking into the funds and trying to figure out which revenue stream, those funds are paid out of. And I think I've attended every council meeting but one. In May, I went on a vacation, and that had been planned a long time before I decided to run for council. So, and I attended 3 out of the 4 budget meetings. I took personal time off of my work so that I could learn and listen and see what that process looks like. That's the primary responsibility of the council, setting the budget. And so I felt like that was really important. And I did learn a lot through that process.
Okay. Have you and will you attend other county and/or local government meetings while in office to keep informed on planning, future growth, current issues, and a general overall perspective on what other elected officials are doing that would affect your decision-making process?
Yes, I would. Commissioner meetings, EMS meetings, health board meetings, River Ridge development meetings. Like there are so many entities that affect our revenue stream and also, could affect how much money we pay out. highway meetings to talk about roads and problems. Like, yes, I feel like it shouldn't be one council member's responsibility to do all of those. But what I feel like we should do is collaborate and have representatives on each of those boards. Have council members that are responsible to go to that meeting go and report back out to the rest of us so that we can all make better use of our time. And that also helps the council kind of start to build some trust and collaborative, efforts with one another too.
Now, the following questions are ones that we feel are important to voters right now in Clark County. So first of all, do you have any relatives, close friends, or business partners serving in a government position, on a government board, as an elected official, or in building, development, or real estate fields here in Clark County?
No to all of those. I will disclose that my husband is a retired Clark County Sheriff's captain. So if things come up about retirement, for example, or health benefits for retirees, those are things I would need to abstain from. And I would explain the reason is because my husband is a direct beneficiary of those decisions. He's retired, he's not active, but I still feel like that's an important disclosure. I don't have anyone else that fits any of those titles that you asked about.
And outside of funding the county budget, members of the council sit on various committees and boards. What's your view on industrial solar projects being placed on agricultural land here in Clark County?
River Ridge is probably not going to like me very much, but that's okay. I actually would like to see industrial solar plants put on top of industrial buildings. River Ridge is a perfect, like most all of their buildings are flat on this, the ceilings or the roofs. And they probably spend more or use more energy than most small towns in this county, probably every town except for maybe Clarksville and Jeffersonville. I'd like to start there. Let's experiment there. Let's see how it works. Like it could save them money and also give us a good look at how all of that works and how does it benefit us financially? How does it benefit our constituents? That's where I'd like to start. I'm not currently in favor of putting industrial solar panels on agricultural land.
Along those same lines, what's your view on the current Clark County Comprehensive Plan and developing and rezoning agricultural land here in Clark County? How can we balance development with maintaining agricultural land responsibly?
Well, the comprehensive plan says that that's the goal, like to grow, develop, meet the needs of the influx of people that are coming here for work and for good school systems. Without, and keeping national forests and agricultural land, protecting those things. That's what the comprehensive plan says it's going to do. Of course, that was developed, I think, or approved in 2019. So we're 5 years in. I'd like to get an update, like do the projected population increases, is that actually what has happened? Where are we with that? I'd like to see how a lot of development since 2019 residentially, like to see what those look like in comparison to agricultural land. And quite frankly, before we get into any more discussion about building more residences or developments or apartments, like there's a lot of cities in this county and towns and townships they don't have the sewer capacity or the water capacity to handle anymore. So we've got to talk about infrastructure. That's got to be a big topic of discussion if we want to continue growing. And that plan needs to be updated. Like, where are we today, 5 years after it was approved? I think it's important to reflect on what you thought was going to happen versus what has actually happened and adjust based on your actual evidentiary findings.
River Ridge Development Authority is a quasi-governmental body who's able to bring companies into the area and conduct business without citizen input or knowledge until contracts are already signed. As an urban enterprise zone and TIF district, they also retain generated tax income and revenue that does not go back into the community like a standard district. Do you believe there should be more continuity between River Ridge Development Authority and Clark County government? And will you attend River Ridge board meetings, give input, and seek property tax revenue from River Ridge to fund needed infrastructure improvements?
Yes, to all of that. I actually have a little experience in trying to work with River Ridge. When, again, I hate to keep going back to being on the school board, but we had asked specific entities to that were getting benefits to give some of that money back to the school system for a specific purpose. Clarksville gave money, Jeffersonville gave money, Charlestown gave money. We were not able to secure any funding from River Ridge. And I would love to attend the board meetings. I would love to get more information about where is their perspective of community. TIF districts, great to bring in business, and they also take money away from every other entity within that district. Schools lose money, municipalities lose money, public safety loses money. And so you're getting a huge benefit to come here with these tax incentives. We want you to come here. What we want to know is how much are you willing to contribute back to this community? I think those are important conversations that need to be had.
As a council member, you will not be a full-time employee of the county, but you will be offered a full medical insurance benefit. Some constituents are not okay with paying for this benefit to less than full-time employees, and others are okay with it. What's your position on this topic, and will you be taking county insurance?
My personal belief is that if you are a full-time employee somewhere else, like I am, I get insurance benefits from my full-time employer. My belief and what I will do is I will stay on the insurance I have with my full-time employer. I don't feel like that's a benefit for being a full-time employee. That's something that draws people in, keeps people engaged, reduces turnover. As a part-time official, elected official, you should not come in as a county council person and that be your motivation. So stick with what you've got, through your employer. Now, if someone, maybe they're self-employed, maybe they're on Medicare, that could be a different story. Supplements don't cost that much money, and I know we offer supplements. If you're self-employed, you don't get paid a lot of money to be a council member. So perhaps, if we could offset personal costs by offering health insurance, I'm okay with that. But if your spouse has insurance through an employer, they should have to stay on their employer's insurance as well. We just have to be really mindful and careful that we're not taking advantage of the county and the tax dollars that come in from our constituents.
Current landfill is nearing capacity with a series of expansions over decades. Residents complain of foul odors, traffic, wastewater concerns, a lack of accountability and oversight, and the lack of planning for rapid growth, especially with River Ridge and Clark County. Have you looked at any plans and funds for closure and post-closure? And what are your thoughts on solutions for handling landfill needs?
That is directly a role of the commissioners. So what I would like to see is a collaboration with the commissioners to talk about that. I know for a fact that in addition to the EMS situation, Katie Morgan has been very vocal about the landfill. I think her background is in environmental science. I would lean on her heavily because she's an expert. I'm not. But I would love to start again, like, let's have a joint meeting once a month and talk about these things, so no one feels like they're in the dark. Everyone feels like they're knowledgeable. And everybody that's running has different levels of expertise. Like, let's rely on each other. Let's collaborate together for the benefit of our constituents.
Clark County has a history of contract EMS services. Due to the current EMS scandals, we have another temporary EMS contract in place. The EMS committee has been discussing a county-based, municipal, and/or fire-based solution to our EMS deficits for years. What's your position on continuing EMS contracts versus transitioning to a government-run solution?
I've talked to a few fire chiefs. I've talked to some people who have knowledge about EMS operations, hospital operations. Again, not my area of expertise. So I've had to, reach out to people who could answer my questions and help me feel like I'm a little bit more well-versed in the situation. From everything I've heard, county-based could be very expensive. I mean, like upwards of 30, $40 million because just to start it, because you have to hire employees, you have to buy ambulances, you have to have a building for that or buildings for them to operate out of. Like, I've heard it would be very, very expensive. I'm not really comfortable with the current solution because I know it was rushed. So let's keep digging. Let's keep talking. Let's keep bringing people together who are experts. Let's bring in consultants if we need to. Let's figure it out. And as far as what actually will be best for us long term, thoughtfully and carefully, like having planned. And given the situation, I get why we had to rush, why we had to do something quickly. People were waiting 25, 30 minutes, on an ambulance. This is a county. A lot of areas are rural in this county. It's not okay for somebody out in a rural area to be waiting on an ambulance like that. So I get why we rushed it. We wanted to put something in place quickly. That does not mean it's the best long-term solution.
Property taxes seem to be increasing for most property owners in Clark County, significantly for many. Some council members allege that they have no control over property taxes. What is your view on the role that council members play in property taxes, and will you have any power to make a difference in that area?
So property taxes are not a responsibility of the council. There are so many taxing units that go into a tax bill. If you look at your tax bill, you've got a little county. It's local income tax. That's all the county has a say in, really, and most of that goes to emergency management, police, fire, EMS, things that keep us safe. That's the local income tax. That's all the council has a say about. There's township, there's schools, there's fire districts, there's so many other taxing units. And even though in 2008, our legislators approved a plan of a 1% flat tax, that's great, except for when the assessments keep going like this, because 1% of 100,000 is 1,000, right? 1% of 300,000 is 3,000. I mean, we've seen tremendous growth in the assessments over the last 5 years with all of this residential development. So there's so many components of property taxes, and no one entity can resolve that problem. It's multifaceted, and it's just not within the realm of what the county council is responsible for. Now, can we advocate, like, with cities, taxing units? Can we advocate for our constituents? Absolutely, we can advocate, but we have no say.
All right, that's all the questions that we have for our interview, but what other topics are important to you, and what else do you want voters to know? How can people learn more about you and support you?
There's a few ways people can learn more about me. Of course, I'm on social media. You can message me anytime. I'm responsive. My A lot of information has been going out in flyers, like, knocking on doors and things. People have my phone number and my email. They're certainly welcome to reach out to me that way. One big thing I want people to know in this election, it makes no difference if you vote a straight ticket or if you choose to go down and hand pick each office. No matter what you do on straight ticket or not straight ticket, you still have to flip that ballot over, and you have to vote separately for Clark County Council at large. You also have to vote separately for your Greater Clark School Board race. And there's some judges, some Indiana Supreme Court judges that are also on there for, keeping them or firing them. You have to vote on all of those three things separately from anything else you do on the front side of the ballot. So please remember to turn your ballot over and make those choices. Those are very important choices. And we would hate for you not to have a say because you didn't know that you needed to turn the ballot over and do that. I just would say that I'm a workhorse. When I commit to something, I'm all in. That I don't do anything halfway. When I made the commitment to do this, I've made a commitment to serve for 4 years and give it my everything. After my full-time job, of course, and my family, because they're very important to me, but they know how to move and adjust. They've had to do it for the last 6 months during campaigning. But that would be my next priority after my real job and my family. It would be my priority to serve, and to be available to Clark County, be available to address concerns, to listen. Again, I may not agree. If I don't know an answer, I'll get you an answer. That's just the kind of person I am. I've always been that person. There's evidence of that from when I did serve on the school board. I responded to every email. I returned every phone call, and I certainly attended a lot of school events to show my support for kids and staff. That's who I am. I haven't changed. I will do the same thing as a council rep. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thanks so much.
All right.